This morning with none other than, as I called him a while ago, the man, the myth, the legend, Steve Maxwell.
Wow.
Stephen, who is making a name for himself in Central Louisiana. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Morning. How's it going?
Man, it's good. I'm excited to be here. I am normally not here on Fridays, right? Normally Al is. And then during the school year, Friday's not really an option for me because I do a chapel service over at Grace Christian School, and we'll start up in about 2 weeks. So, yeah, for the last 22 years, I have done chapel at Grace Christian School. Been a great delight to get to do that with those kiddos. And so that's kind of my Friday morning routine.
Well, I got two things to say about things you said. It's Freakier Friday now because of the movie
that's right.
that just came out.
Yep.
And this is going to be really embarrassing for me, but I went to LC, Louisiana College, and we had chapel. I had to take for the Religion for Dummies class because I just didn't go to chapel.
Wait. That was an option?
Yeah, if you miss too many chapels, you take a class.
All right, preacher's kid.
Yeah, so it wasn't like I didn't want to go. It's just, it was like, go to Sonic real quick before the next class or go to chapel.
Right.
It was me being irresponsible, but I ended up having to take the Religion for Dummies class. They don't call it that. That's what us students call it.
Yeah.
And it was me sitting down with the local pastor at Tamp and Grind getting proselytized.
Well, that's not bad. I mean,
it was a nice
involved.
Yeah, it was a fun time. And
it's like a one-on-one thing?
Yeah.
Dude, that's like serious repercussion.
Yeah, but it wasn't even, the punishment wasn't that. The punishment was paying for a class. I had to pay for the class.
No way.
Yeah.
That's a punishment.
So my parents were real thrilled with that.
I'm sure.
Dude, not like it mattered to them. I'm the one paying it.
Oh, okay.
So.
Well, I went to LC before it was LCU, and I had to go to chapel every Thursday, and we had sign-in sheets back then. I don't know how y'all did.
We did too.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't hate it. It's just sometimes you just want to put long coney instead.
My goodness. Well, I do chapel for the Grace Christian Elementary. So I don't do the high school. I just do elementary through 5th grade.
I bet that's interesting.
And it's a lot of fun. I get to do fun, goofy songs with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do Baby Shark, but we're doing bullfrogs and butterflies and Who's the King of the Jungle and
Baby Joan as well.
Baby's Joan. That's great. Baby fish. Okay.
3 days.
But so I've been doing that for many, many years. And so it's just, we'll start up in a couple of weeks. They've already had their in-service this week. Schools are starting all over Rapides Parish next week.
Mm-hmm.
I went to open house last night. Is Sophia ready for open house yet or not yet?
No, we're 2.
Oh, you're
so
okay.
She's already kind of in her school.
Okay.
So I'm not going to say where she goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've been going all summer.
Well, if Congressman Cleo Fields has his way, she would be going to school right now, to a public school, because at the event, Monday morning was it? I think he was in town, and he talked about some of the things that he was advocating for. He's one of the ones that made kindergarten mandatory in Louisiana when he was a state rep, or state senator, excuse me. But on the federal side, he's introduced legislation to make early education available at 2 years old.
I do have opinions about that.
I do too.
And I agree.
Really?
Yeah, I know you probably don't.
Well,
my reasoning for agreeing is, have you seen the price of childcare? We live in a capitalist society where most of us have to go to work all the time, including Mama. And we had 2 years of Mama not going to work. We really struggled to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we really struggled.
Mm-hmm.
And we did it. But there comes a point in time where you live in a society where we have to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And I spend a good $700 something to $800 a month.
That is a chunk of change.
And that's pretty cheap these days. In Florida, which Florida's expensive, we were looking at $1,100-$1,200 a month with a tremendous waiting list too. So
wow.
So I don't disagree with it. I think it should be open if possible. The
question becomes, though, if he makes it mandatory.
No, I think it should. I don't think it. Well, you're not mandated to go to public school.
No.
Yeah.
But that's a great point.
Yeah.
I mean, how do they do that?
It should be. Let's say that Billy Bob's Elementary down the road is a public school, and they don't offer services for 2 to 3 year olds, right? Those schools would be mandated to have those services so that families could take advantage of it and not have to pay, another mortgage for childcare. That's just I get the downsides of it. I wish we lived in a world, I genuinely do, to where mom or her dad could stay home with baby till they were 4 or 5 years old. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
But for some people, that's just unrealistic. I know some people can make it happen, but for a lot of us, it's just not.
I think that, my family, my wife and I, we did, my wife has been mostly a stay-at-home mom the entirety of our marriage. She's worked a little bit, but mostly not. And it is a sacrifice that you make.
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle compromises you have to choose. We were a single car family for many, many, many years.
I believe it.
Because those are the decisions that we made. But interestingly, Congressman Fields on Monday, he said that if he could make it 6 months, he would. But 2 is what he's shooting for. And I think you're going to get some pushback from the conservative side that feels like you're just trying to indoctrinate earlier and earlier. So I don't know.
But that's always the argument, right? Like we're trying to indoctrinate our kids. I think they're looking at it from we're trying to make sure families can afford to live if mom and dad have to work. That's another side of it. It's just every time we're trying to implement something, it's like the government indoctrinating you. Well, if the government's indoctrinating you here, it's probably going to be what you agree with anyway, right?
It probably depends on the state you're in, right?
In Louisiana.
Louisiana does have a very
if you want to talk about indoctrinating, they're trying to indoctrinate us by putting the 10 Commandments on the wall.
Yeah.
So, it's okay if it's your side, right? This is my opinion. And this isn't me saying I'm a liberal, like I want it to be this side. I'm just looking at it from an objective standpoint.
Yeah. Well, and I love the perspective that you bring. You're not a liberal. I know you. That's not where you are, but you are a centrist, and you seek to find that middle common ground.
And I hate to be annoying like that, just because I'm a high and mighty centrist. I just look at each issue.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it might align with one side on one thing and another. And I feel like you're the same way too. You don't just toe the line for,
I am
your party leader.
No. Well, and I've been no party since the 1990s.
Yeah.
I did not choose independent because I knew it was a party, so I chose no party. That's a whole other topic for another moment. But interestingly enough, the fact that I wonder how many thousands, I haven't seen the number, but thousands of Louisianians were switched from independent to no party.
Oh, I can imagine.
And because they said that that's the only way that the process works. A no party person can choose to vote in a party primary, but they have to stay with that party through the general election.
For that election.
But I wonder if there weren't some people that are like, wait a minute, I really did want to be part of the independent party. I knew it was a party and I wanted to be part of the independent party. So I don't know.
Well, here's what I'm confused about too. Like, okay, if you're a no party affiliation and you walk up in the primary and say, I declare Republican and I'm going to vote in the Republican primary. The general, you could vote for Democrat the next time.
That's correct.
Okay, yeah. You just can't vote for Democrat primary as well.
You can't vote in both. Yeah, you only choose one. That would be fun.
You ever seen The Office?
I've watched a few episodes.
Where Michael Scott, Steve Carell, he walks up, I declare bankruptcy. Because he was in financial trouble, like, I declare I'm Democrat. So.
I guess you get to do it for each one. All right, we're going to jump to the phone line real quick. Good morning. You're on Talkback with Stephen and Nathan.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
I love The Office. I watched that episode the other night, actually.
It's great.
I have them recorded and I have them on DirecTV. But there was a lot of wisdom in that show, and they were giving it to you with a funny angle. But just declaring it doesn't do it. But it points to the issue that y'all brought up was how to pay for your life. And whereas Mr. Fields comes from a leftist view, Stephen makes a good point. We're in a situation now where it's hard for young families to maintain the lifestyle that they desire and keep their kids out of the public school system. And people on the left are making it more attractive. And I believe the vast majority of them really want to help. I believe they do. I believe they really want to help families. I know there's a few at the top that are interested in creating this problem so that they can steer people into a direction where they are more dependent on the state. And for those of us who understand the dangers there, we've got to point out that it helps people more to be able to help them be independent of the state, not dependent upon the state. And so, where the rubber meets the road, Stephen said it, they had a hard time making it. I understand. I have 4 kids, and they all now have kids of their own. I understand it. So what we have to do as thinking citizens is push to elect people who will bring the help in the form of government relief, that getting government out of our lives, not costing us so much. That's the issue. Is what it costs us. Now, to put more kids in school, guess what? That's going to cost more. We're going to have to pay more in taxes. And so you see a splitting of the herd, a culling, where they are using the pressures of life to drive us in a direction that they, the quote unquote, they want us to be. And for a lot of years, I didn't think that was true. I didn't think there was that group. Now I know that group exists because I've read their documents. I've read where they planned it this way. And so we have to push back against that if the trap's not going to spring.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying, and I'm a tough love kind of guy. Like, that's how I respond. That's how I get better. You know, I don't get government handouts or anything throughout my life. I just work for what I get. I understand that. It's just like, at the end of the day, too, we're dealing with a private industry, which is the daycare industry, that's essentially price gouging us sometimes. We can't afford it.
Well, price gouging only exists when government protects the industry and doesn't allow
maybe
fair
price
competition.
Gouging wasn't the right word to use. But
No, I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
No, I understand what you mean. Yeah. When the government backs out and there's less regulation, and look, the government, the healthcare, the child care situation is very heavily regulated. What I see as someone who drives among the public all day long, I see people going to unregulated healthcare, where they take their kids and they get together with a few families, they get together with relatives, they let Momo watch them, and that's not government regulated. You know, they don't have inspections in their home like they have to have a daycare. Because if somebody says, I want to be a daycare and I want to offer somebody, child care, man, they have to jump through all kinds of hoops. We could have regulatory relief in that area. We could have tax relief on the working people of America like you who's trying to raise kids. There's other directions we go, and we could as a nation recognize, hey, these people are our future. So I like what Trump put in the big, beautiful bill, the bigger tax incentives for people raising families.
I agree with that. That's a great idea.
I would rather push in that direction than in Mr. Fields' direction.
I feel like sometimes regulation in the child care sector, maybe not over-regulation, but it's something that needs to be there as well. And that's just my opinion.
With fair competition, it will regulate itself. With fair competition.
I just don't know if that's always been the case in the world of free market. I mean,
all right, love the conversation, but Dave's going to get mad at me if I don't take this break.
Yep.
Thank you for your call.
Have a great
Appreciate it.
weekend.
Good to see you, man.
You too. Bye-bye.
I knew that was going to get him going.
I'm pushing the button and nothing's playing. Hold on. There's got to be another button to push.
But yeah. It's an interesting conversation for sure.
Okay,
Is it working?
No, Dave may have to come back in here. Dave Grayson, you say, I know he's listening in the other room, but I've pushed the button like 4 times and nothing is happening. So I'm sorry I cut UPS Dave off because we have a brand new system in here. And Dave, I need him to come here. He's walking by. I've pushed the button 3 or 4 times and nothing's fired for the bottom of the hour break. So Dave will come in and rescue us from ourselves.
That means we get to talk longer, and I got lots to say.
Yeah, so I'm going to be quiet and, all right, he's pushing it and nothing's happening. Okay, so.
Well, that's special.
We got a new system here.
Behind the scenes, right?
Yeah, and it's a great system.
I'll do it tomorrow.
All right, so he's going to go fire it from the other way. And what I'll have to do is I'll have to talk, and then when I pause, he'll push it and don't fall and trip on all of our booby trap we have there. And again, cut that conversation short. I think I get what you're saying from the perspective of before regulations were in, we had children working in factories 12 hours a day.
We just don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
Government has a purpose.
But
maybe
sometimes it can be over-regulation, right?
Yeah.
I know we looked at doing a child care at the church, and the regulations were significant, and we just chose not to do it because they were so great. So,
I can imagine. But there might be some reasoning behind that, too.
I'm sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I would feel better, and this is my opinion, I would feel better with my child at a regulated daycare. It's a big thing. Like, if you cut the hot dogs too wide, I've seen there have been marks on that by DCFs or whoever, the Department of Health. But that's actually a big deal. It's something you don't overlook. A choking hazard. You know what I'm
so
saying?
you got to cut the hot dogs at a certain size.
Yeah, I guess so. You know what I mean? It sounds ridiculous, but sometimes it has a purpose. But sometimes I've heard the restaurant industry, a lot of people are concerned about the regulation there. Like, they have the things the hoops they've had to jump through. I get it. We need reform. We need to look at everything. I'm just rambling to wait for this break.
Yeah, we're both pausing at certain times to see if he wants to hit the play button.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
Parents, we know how important a strong start to the school year is, and Rapids Parish Library is here to help. At RPL, your child can access free homework help, online databases, research tools, computers, quiet study spaces, and books for every subject and reading level. Whether they're catching up or getting ahead, the library is your partner in their success. And success is just a library card away. Visit your local library branch or rpl.org to get started today.
Well, good morning. It looks like another sunny, hot day for us. This afternoon highs will get up to 95. That heat index somewhere between 101 and 105. And a little faint breeze, what we'll see will be out of the east. Tonight, clear skies down to 73 for the overnight low. And for the most part, looks like a nice weekend with sunny skies both Saturday and Sunday. Highs near 95 with a slight chance of an afternoon shower or thunderstorm. From the Zenlaw Broadcasting Weather Center, I'm Dave Gratian.
If you'd like to take part in the show today, call the BOM Bank Talk line at 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. And remember, if you're looking to purchase or refinance your home, call Christina Bagwell at the BOM Bank Mortgage Department at 448-2430.
Now back to Talkback, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO.
The BOM Talk Line, 318-442-8255, the number you can call to join Stephen Maxwell and myself, Nathan Martin, on this Friday morning. A freakier Friday, as was coined by Stephen in honor of the television show, or the movie that's out in theaters right now. And I got to admit, I have zero desire to go see it.
No, me neither. I remember seeing the one back in like 2000,
Sure.
like 7 or something?
Which was a remake of an earlier Freaky Friday. So this is like the second remake. He said, well, I guess this is a continuation.
It's a sequel to the remake.
Right, a sequel to the remake.
But if I'm going to the movies, what I'm going to go see is Weapons.
Oh,
it's
tell me
that
about
new.
it.
Well, I don't know if you like it. It's that new horror movie.
Oh no, yeah, I'm
Dude,
out.
Even the pictures of it.
You said the word horror. I'm out.
I like a good horror movie to where it's used tastefully. Not like the blood and gore, but like the suspense, the mystery. And I've heard it's one of the best ones in a couple of years.
I'm such a chicken. Here's what I do. When I'm at home and I'm watching a show that has an element like that, and the music starts to get foreboding, I hit the mute button. I can watch it without the music because then, I don't have that scare factor, where jump out scene and stuff. So I'm a chicken.
I like them. However, I have to watch them spread apart because it does affect your mood. It really does.
Do you like it because your wife grabs your arm real tight and holds on,
let me help you. She hates them too. So I have to force her to go and see them.
Hiram, I'm with you. I'm Team Hiram on this one.
One of my best friends in town, they're obsessed. They're obsessed with horror movies. It's their thing. I'm not like that. I like a good one every couple months.
Well, I'm going to come back to it. I do need to plug at 8 o'clock.
Okay, go.
Desiree Lemoyne with Industry Makes calling in, and I checked out Industry Makes when I saw she was on the calendar. They're an advocacy group for industry areas, and I'm sure they'll be talking about some things that are important to industry in Central Louisiana. Perhaps CCS will have that great conversation coming up at 8 o'clock.
It'll be about Sungas as well.
Oh, okay. Good deal. Did you arrange this one? Or did they call you? Good.
Yeah,
okay.
They reach out to me.
Well, it's good. And, we've tried, everybody knows that we try to be very open, let every side have a voice and, hear the conversation. And I think it's good for all of us. I did want to circle back around. Did I tell you I went and saw Superman last weekend?
No.
My son and I and his best friend, we actually drove down to Baton Rouge to go to the Celebrity Theater in Baton Rouge because that's the theater that has the reclining seats.
Okay.
And the really not horribly expensive snacks, and then all the drinks are include a refill because they have the self-serve machines.
Okay.
So you get you a big popcorn and a drink and refill that drink as much as you want. Sit in this huge recliner with your feet kicked up and a table tray that pulls out in front of you.
Yeah.
It's an experience, and it's not horribly expensive. It's actually cheaper than the local theater. I mean, you got a 2-hour drive to get to Baton Rouge, but it was my son's birthday and his best friend's birthday. Their birthdays are like 3 weeks apart, so a little combined thing. That was a fun movie. It was really
I
a
bet.
kickback to the 70s and 80s style of movie telling. And if you enjoy superhero movies, that would be one fun to go see.
Yeah, I'll probably watch it when it comes on streaming. But yeah, we used to go to Tinseltown and Shreveport all the time.
Do they have
all the
theaters?
time, like once or twice? It's got the reclining seats.
Yeah.
It's nice.
That is quite an experience. We have a call that's on the line, but we have to take this break to get caught up. We'll be right back with more. Let's talk back with Stephen and Nathan.
KSYL.
Success is about momentum. For over 20 years, Kinetics has been moving businesses forward with cutting-edge IT, cybersecurity, and marketing solutions while keeping them secure, innovative, and competitive. We power progress with next-gen business technology and marketing solutions designed to keep your business ahead of the competition. Need seamless IT, a bold new brand, a strategy built for what's next? Don't get left behind. Move forward with Kinetics. Visit kbisp.com and take the next step today.
Your shot at $1,000 begins now. $1 could win you $1,000 when you play $1,000 jackpot from the lottery. Win up to $1,000. Pick up $1,000 jackpot at any lottery retailer. It's your shot at a grand slam. Soak up wins and play Sunny Days Bingo from the lottery. Top prize is a whopping $50,000. Visit your favorite lottery retailer and pick up Sunny Days Bingo today. Louisiana Lottery, giving you a reason to smile. Must be at least 21 to purchase.
Talk back. To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK.
Welcome back to Talk Back on this Friday morning. We're going to go to the phone lines. Good morning. You're on Talk Back with Stephen and Nathan.
Yeah, y'all were talking about voting and your party orientation. When I first registered to vote when I was 21 years old, you couldn't vote until you were 21 then. I chose Democrat, and it was a simple reason. There was no Republican Party.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was a Republican Party, but there was always only one candidate. So if you wanted to vote for the Republicans, you just waited until the general election.
Right.
But you had some say, albeit one vote, with respect to the wide range of candidates. But I don't think either one of you is old enough to remember who Willie Raynack was.
I do not.
Well, Willie Raynack was the card-carrying Klansman.
Ooh.
And he was, I know he was a state representative. I'm not sure if he wound up being a U.S. representative or not. I don't recall. But I didn't vote for him for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But elections are relatively interesting. Obama famously said the elections have consequences.
Right.
And now the Democrats are screaming like stuck pigs with respect to this, that, and the other. I never understood when I took American history how you had party changes. I remember Whigs were big in the 1800s, and
Right.
then they just basically disappeared. Well, now I guess the Democrats may not disappear because they may continue to call themselves that, but they certainly don't represent the groundswell of American public.
Yeah,
No, you're right.
yeah. I think the Democratic Party does not know what to do right now. Trump has got them politically in a mess right now.
I don't know if you guys watch The Five on Fox at all, but Harold Ford Jr. is what I would call a blue dog Democrat who's on that show. Was a representative and well-spoken, and I'd vote for him in a heartbeat against Trump for no other reason than he works with people. He doesn't basically stomp on people.
Who was that again?
Harold Ford Jr. He was a U.S. representative from the Memphis area, and I think his father had been one before. But he clearly represents what I consider to be a conservative Democrat, and that's basically what I'm looking for, somebody that's conservatively oriented and requires you to read and write if you're going to be a member of the society.
Well, I know there are some people who feel that they are fiscally conservative, but perhaps socially on the liberal side. And then there are some who are, the flip of that. And with only two parties, it's sometimes hard to find where you line up. When I turned 18 in 1983, and so I registered to vote either on or right after my birthday. And I did register Republican because at that time with Ronald Reagan and the conservative resurgence, it lined up with my values. And I made some people in my family very upset. They really, they were kind of that mindset, you can't do anything in Louisiana if you're Republican. You have to be a Democrat because there was no significant Republican Party. I did in the 1990s go no party because as a pastor, I felt like I needed to be able to not be owe an allegiance to a party. But, I respect both sides. I haven't seen as many conservatives on the Democrat side in the last many conservative Democrats in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s.
Well, the old conservative Democrats were the Republicans.
They became Republicans, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think in Louisiana, all the Democrats decided to become Republicans because they figured that was how they get either elected or reelected.
I'll tell you one who is, I think, a conservative Democrat, and I'm going to make some people mad in our listening audience, but Jay Luno is a conservative Democrat. He's definitely I believe he's a pro-Second Amendment, Amendment believer. He's a hunter. He's a wildlife kind of guy, but
like John Bell.
Yeah, he would be a conservative. Although, again, I know some listeners are going to, that's like waving a red flag in front of a bull. But I do think in Louisiana, they were conservative Democrats or are conservative Democrats.
Well, you're not going to win as a Democrat in Louisiana on a statewide office if you're not pro-Second Amendment.
Yeah, that's a great point.
There's no way.
And even pro-life. John Bell was a pro-life.
Pro-life, yeah.
Yeah. And that Catholic faith in Louisiana. I believe he was.
Okay.
I believe. Somebody can correct me if I was mistaken on that.
Yeah, well, as Moon would say, Mr. Lunatic sometimes leans in the wrong direction.
But I tell you what, I wish people would talk to him.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
I've asked him to come in, and he's willing. We just got to figure out how to make it work. But he's willing to have good conversations. He's been a good leader in our community, and he'll be respectful with people he disagrees with. I think more conversation is needed.
I've interviewed him for years now, and he will never say no matter the topic.
Yeah.
And if you disagree with him, he's not a lunatic. He's a smart guy.
Well, and Moon cuts his teeth on those nicknames.
Yeah, that's got to stop.
Well, nicknames are nicknames. If you earn them, you earn them.
I'll tell you something funny about the Moon Show. For a while there, he started having the Raymond James retirement hotline. That was and he did so many nicknames. I didn't know who Raymond James was. I think if you have money, you know who that is. I don't have any money, so I didn't know that Raymond James was a wealth management company. And so he had this, Raymond James retirement hotline is what was called then. Now it's Raymond James something else. But I thought must have been a legislator named Raymond James that he was trying to get to retire from the.
Oh no, that's the name of the stadium in Tampa Bay.
Well,
Raymond James Stadium for the Bucks.
I told you.
It used to be.
If you have money, you know that. I obviously.
Oh yeah,
I have no idea who Raymond. James was.
I pull up my second yacht to Raymond James Stadium.
Yeah. Does your yacht have two oars or one paddle?
Neither. It's got a bunch of holes in it.
I own a trolling motor. That's the closest I've gotten.
That's more than me.
Well, because my neighbor has a boat. They let me use their boat, but they didn't have a trolling motor, so I bought a used trolling motor.
It's a symbiotic relationship.
That puts me in the yacht club.
I got you.
Hey, caller, we always appreciate your input.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. All right, 318-442-8255. That's the number to call, and we appreciate hearing from you. It's always good to have the callers engage with us. Don't forget, coming up at 8 o'clock, we do have a special guest. They'll be calling in. Is that right, Stephen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Desiree Lemoyne from Industry Makes will be our guest in the 8 o'clock hour, and some folks may be reserving their phone call for that conversation as well. The carbon capture did come up yesterday in the community appreciation event that the Mary McCain, who's the neighborhood police officer for Ward 10, hosted at Journey Church. Very good event. I saw you and Al there.
Yeah,
front and center.
Yeah, it was fun to see everyone get together, and it's good fellowship, and I mean, the barbecue was top notch. It was good. But yeah,
they called them pork steaks.
Pork steaks, yeah. They were like two different kinds, like more like a gravy center, one more of like a barbecue center. I had the barbecue. It was great. Anyway, State Treasurer John Fleming, who's running for U.S. Senate, he was on KSYO yesterday morning. He was kind of the, I guess you could say, the keynote speaker at the event. He made some remarks. He was on the stump a little bit, talking about why he's running for Senate. One of the big issues that he always likes to talk about here is carbon capture. He's probably the highest ranking Louisiana official to come out against carbon capture and sequestration almost completely, not just eminent domain. He just doesn't want it at all. And I asked him, and he talked about this too on air, but I asked him, I was like, do you think the Trump administration would be against this? And he goes, I think they would, even though it was in the bill. It was more of a compromise bill. But since the president's against, windmills or wind and solar, this would kind of fall in line with what he wants and what Lee Zeldin, the energy secretary, has been going with the past couple of weeks, and some deregulation on carbon emissions. So he goes, what he wants to do, one of the main things he wants to do is get elected, go to Washington, and convince people carbon capture and sequestration is bad. But I was remarking just to some people yesterday, it's a very interesting fight going on in central Louisiana. You know, your diehard conservative Republicans are the ones leading the way against industry.
Right.
Industry.
That is a very crazy fight.
And that's not one I was expecting, but, you know, one thing I've said that's, you know, there's a lot I don't agree with, but the one thing I can say about the Republican Party is that they're not afraid to disagree with each other. They don't toe the line all the time, and they're not afraid to speak their mind, and I appreciate it.
From the outside looking in, it can appear messy because there's quote-unquote infighting, but the fact that people are allowed to have their own independent opinions is a strength of conviction. So that's a good thing. We've got to take this break. We got a caller on the line. We'll be back with your call right after this.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
Close your eyes and feel the sun-drenched breeze of southern Spain. From whitewashed villages to golden beaches, this is where history meets passion. Moorish palaces, flamenco night, and unforgettable tapas. This small group, escorted by Annie and Christine in March 2026, will visit Seville, Cordoba, Granada, Marbella, and more. Join our spectacular Spain tour, beaming with culturally rich and local experiences. FreedomTravelLLC.com, your international travel architect.
Dentures. You can't live with them, and you definitely can't live without them. But what if we told you there's a better way? Today's Dental in Pineville is here to revolutionize your smile. Say goodbye to old-fashioned adhesives and endless appointments. They've made getting implants incredibly simple, low anxiety, and affordable for everyone. Picture this. In-office IV sedation administered by a highly skilled, certified nurse anesthetist, making the procedure low anxiety and stress-free. And the best part? Their multiple finance options make implants truly affordable. Don't wait. If you're ready to replace those old-timey dentures with permanent implants, call Today's Dental on Highway 28 East in Pineville at 448-4540. It's a general dental facility owned by Dr. Jonas Gauthier. That's 448-4540. Your perfect smile is just a call away. Today's Dental, because you deserve the best.
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. Talkback.
Welcome back to Talkback. Our caller dropped off during the break, so that means the line is open, 318-442-8255. is the number that you can call and be a part of the conversation. The last segment we have here up until the top of the hour, got about 6.5 minutes to go. And so would love to have you give us a call. Don't forget, coming up at 8 o'clock, we will have Desiree Lemoyne from Industry Makes calling in to chat with us about some industry issues. And that's kind of what you were talking about a while ago, the Republican Party, which is traditionally industry favoring, is in this particular case standing against one particular industry. I do find it interesting. The carbon capture stuff has come to Rapides Parish because of Sungas, but I went to a meeting with Capture Point themselves. Sungas is only one of their many customers, and not even their biggest customer. So it's really independent of Sungas. Okay, our caller's back, it looks like. We'll go back to the phone line. Good morning. You're on Talk Back with Stephen and Nathan.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I wasn't the original caller, but I seen where the caller had stepped out. So Walter Beach again with EMS reform. I met John Fleming at Duke's in Dedham Springs as with the Women's Republican Party that they had. Very great fellow. One of the questions that was asked was, how do you compare with, I can't say the guy's name, unfortunately, anymore. But the current person in Congress, how do you compare with the history and the experience that he has? And John Fleming came back with, I'm in that whole realm of it. His history is in, started out as a physician, but now politics, and he's been in the political arena for a lot longer than the C word. The other doctor,
Bill Cassidy.
They would call him a doctor. Good, you said it. So, I'm definitely not voting for the C guy, but I am. I'm torn because I still have to, with Blake Miguez in the realm. I met Sam White. We have some really, really good candidates for that office. And that's what makes me proud to be in Louisiana, to see these quality of people stepping forward. So, I just want to thank you for the call, and we'll be calling in when we can. I'm about to hop on an ambulance and hopefully do my goodwill.
Go save somebody's life.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling. Appreciate you, Walter.
If I do, I will, but hopefully we don't come to that.
Right. Well, yesterday's event was also honoring first responders, and our paramedics certainly need that recognition. I know sometimes it's, you never want the bad result or even the bad call, but we need you there when there is that call.
Oh, there was one thing. I met, I reacquainted with Brandon Dubrock, which is his campaign manager, and we worked together at Acadian Ambulance back in '92. So it was refreshing to talk to somebody that knows about EMS and the issues. And, it was an amazing event. And I did some political stuff, which, with EMS reform, that, inform the people. So,
by the way, let me ask you this.
Really good.
You mentioned EMS reform. I saw something in Baton Rouge where they're talking about they authorized another ambulance service in addition to Acadian. Is that right?
Oh, that's correct. Baton Rouge General has an ambulance service. They were just restricted to a 10-mile area to do in-service transfers. What this Mayor Sid Edwards did was amazing. It creates competition for the EMT, and that's what we're about, creating competition for the EMT. Because when you work for a monopoly, create monopoly, it's just there's no competition for the EMT. So that's one of the reasons why the EMTs don't come in. So this is a good thing. They're going to branch out, and we have options in the private sector. The citizens have options, The nursing homes have options. Everybody has options, and competition will increase the pay for the EMTs.
All right. Well, thank you for confirming that. I'd seen a little notice about that, and I'm sure Acadian doesn't like it, but it's important to keep folks up aware of what's going on. The music is playing. That means we've got to get out of here. Walter, thank you so much for your call. And coming up in the next hour, we have Desiree Lemoyne with a advocacy group that's going to call in for Desiree Lemoyne calling in with Industry Makes. So stick around for that and your phone calls along with Stephen and me right after this.
You've been listening to Talkback. The opinions expressed were those of the hosts and callers, and not necessarily those of Cenlaw Broadcasting.
AM 970, FM 104.9, KSYL, and KRRV 100.3, HD3, Alexandria.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. Israel's cabinet has approved a plan for the military to take control of Gaza City. Talia Saltzman lives in Tel Aviv.
Unless we can get rid of all of Hamas in one go, just think that the hostages need to be top priority, and then we need to stop all of our soldiers from dying.
Hamas has issued a statement seizing control of Gaza City would amount to sacrificing the hostages. Correspondent Deborah Patta reports from Jerusalem.
Gaza is still under constant Israeli bombardment and in the grip of a catastrophic hunger crisis. We're being tested beyond human limits, said Raed Mohammed. Israel isn't killing Hamas, it's killing civilians. Children, women.
Prime Minister Netanyahu says aid deliveries to non-combat zones will continue. This is the day President Trump set as the deadline for Russia to reach a ceasefire agreement with Ukraine. There's no indication that's happened and no word on any consequences, but talk of a Trump-Putin summit continues. Former U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine, William Taylor.
Well, at some point, it is likely to happen. It's really Putin that wants this meeting. Putin is the one who is so eager to get together with President Trump.
Thousands of people have been evacuated from their homes north of Los Angeles after a brand new wildfire chewed through almost 5,000 acres in a single day. CBS News LA's Lauren Posen is in Castaic.
A fast-moving brush fire exploded on one of the hottest days of summer.
I got the notification on my phone. Came home. I thought, fires pop up all the time, not a big deal. By the time we got home, the cloud of smoke was coming right over our property.
People who aren't under mandatory evacuation orders are staying on standby, some waiting it out in their cars.
Forecast calls for another dry, hot day there. People are bracing for a 111-degree day in Phoenix, which is actually a little cooler than yesterday's high of 118. That was a record breaker for August. Fire Captain DJ Lee says people there need to remember,
even if you're in the best shape, he does not care. It will affect everybody.
Some cancer patients in England are reporting miraculous results using the mRNA technology the U.S. has just stopped funding.
This patient has been pronounced cancer-free 2 years after he was told his case was hopeless.
It gave me a future. It gave me hope, and I am living my best life now.
The trial's now being expanded across the National Health Service in England using mRNA technology to retrain each patient's immune system.
Dow futures are up 71. This is CBS News.
Progressive Insurance, with insurance for cars, home, boat, motorcycles, RVs, and commercial vehicles at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
I'm Matt Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Your car steering wheel could be a ticking time bomb. At least 24 people have died and many more injured because their airbags fired shrapnel at them upon inflating. Tens of millions of cars have been recalled. If you suffered cuts that required stitches, hearing or vision loss, or broken bones, please contact us today. You could be owed money for medical bills and other damages.
Morgan & Morgan. Visit us at badairbags.com for an office near you. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.
Louisiana Radio Network, I'm John Burns. Angola State Penitentiary may begin housing ICE detainees. Louisiana leaders and the Trump administration are in talks to use the prison facility as the president widens the crackdown on immigrants in the country illegally. West Feliciana Parish President Kenny Havard welcomes the opportunity.
It's going to be job opportunities for us. And it's made full circle now and finally coming back. And we're willing to do our part, which is what we've always done.
House Speaker Mike Johnson is on the cover of Time magazine this month. Johnson was elected Speaker of the House in the middle of just his fourth term as a member of the U.S. House of Representatives. This after serving just a single term in the Louisiana House of Representatives. LSU political science professor Jeffrey Sadow.
The speaker who had the least amount of tenure in Congress before him was, I think, way back in the 1880s.
Louisiana Radio Network.
Attention all real estate agents, property owners, and lenders. When you or a client needs a real estate attorney, call the professionals at Thompson Law Firm. Whether the legal matter is basic or complex, the Thompson Law Firm can accurately guide you or your client to a successful outcome. That's why numerous industry professionals have trusted the Thompson Law Firm for years. They also handle estate planning, successions, and business law. Call them at 473-0052. I am a paid non-client attorney spokesperson.
Well, good morning. It looks like another sunny, hot day for us. This afternoon highs will get up to 95. That heat index somewhere between 101 and 105. And a little faint breeze, what we'll see. We'll be out of the east. Tonight, clear skies down to 73 for the overnight low. And for the most part, looks like a nice weekend with sunny skies both Saturday and Sunday. Highs near 95 with a slight chance of an afternoon shower thunderstorm. From the Cenla Broadcasting Weather Center, I'm Dave Gratian.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics. With 27 providers and 3 locations, someone can see you today.
It's Talkback, Central Louisiana's longest-running talk show. Whether it's the guests or the callers, Talkback is where Central Louisiana begins its conversation.
Good morning. Welcome to Talkback here on 970 KSYL. We have a very special guest here in the 8 o'clock hour. It is Desiree Lemoyne. She is with Industry Makes, an advocacy group here in Louisiana. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, thanks for coming on. First off, can you just tell us exactly what Industry Makes is all about?
I would love to. Thank you. Industry Makes is a 501c4 organization, and we serve to be a trusted voice of industry information. And we also want to be that voice against the constant industry misinformation. And we try to work collaboratively with other industry groups to support a positive image of manufacturing as a whole in Louisiana.
So,
and I'm proud to serve as their campaign manager too.
Oh, okay, awesome. So a big issue here, of course, is the carbon capture and sequestration. We've seen tons of meetings, people speaking out against it. We had State Treasurer John Fleming, who's running for Senate, come out completely against carbon capture. Your thoughts on some of his statements and some of the backlash as a whole?
Well, I'll tell you, it is very disappointing to hear Mr. Fleming's interview yesterday. The fact that the politicians that are running or attempting to run for another office or trying to get elected on carbon capture is disheartening. Some of the comments that the treasurer made yesterday were simply inaccurate and are easily refutable by a quick research just to do your homework. I think one of the accusations he made was about the Nios Africa incident in 1986 and how it killed all of these people and farm animals in Africa. But, you know, what he failed to mention was that was a volcanic eruption. It had absolutely nothing to do with the CO2 pipeline. It had nothing to do with a CO2 injection site. It was Mother Nature flexing her muscles in Africa. So, and that's just one of the things that I was concerned that he did not give the full story. I think a lot of the people who were scared of or flaming the flames of fear with CCS, I think that's one of their specialties, is not giving the whole story. So he had mentioned some concerns about you lose your mineral rights if there is expropriation or a plume, so to speak, underneath your property, and nothing could be further from the truth. You can absolutely drill through a CO2 plume. Scientists and industry have been doing it since the 70s and the 80s. So, and with regard to your water supply, I would simply refer all of your listeners to the Geological Society, the USGS, where it gives ample samples of how and rules and restrictions to where you can drill underneath an aquifer. So your water table, your standard water table and water aquifer is about 150 feet. It is mandated that CO2 wells drill to 3,000 or deeper feet. So through a specialty alloy pipe, and with the drilling that deep, the Earth's pressures are a lot different than they are at 150 feet. And that's what keeps the CO2 in check. And again, it really upsets me that the politicians don't give the whole story. It's very selfish.
I want to ask you about another thing we get a lot of calls about in some of these meetings is they like to bring up the Satartia, Mississippi incident. Do you want to go ahead and respond to that?
I'd be happy to. There was a CO2 incident in Satartia, Mississippi. It was on a pipe that was the pipe that was built on a hill or on an incline, so to speak. And it was after some torrential rains, and there was a mudslide. And the mudslide moved the pipe. And the CO2 escaped from the pipe. I would like to clear some things up about Satartia. There were no deaths related to Satartia, and there were no hospitalizations. People that were sent to the hospital were released from the hospital. They were not kept in the hospital. They were sent as precautionary measures. So while there was the incident in Satartia, industry has learned a lot from that. We no longer construct our pipes on inclines so that things like that don't happen again. But I believe people use the Satartia example to scare people. And yes, it did happen. And yes, people were sent to the hospital, but it is very important that you understand that they were all released and had no harmful effects from the exposure to CO2.
And one thing that, I'm sorry, Nathan. One thing they like to talk about, too, and just giving you what's said to us, is that Louisiana is very natural disaster prone as well. You say, though, that they've tried to change some of the regulations when it comes to putting the pipes underground.
Absolutely. They've learned. Industry is constantly learning and technology is constantly changing. So anything you get today, we can guarantee is the safest, because we are always learning and we are always using the most up-to-date technology, because the restrictions or the regulations, I should say, absolutely call for it. And it is in companies' best interest, whether they are a CO2 pipeline, whether they are an emitter, or whether they are the transporter or the storage companies. It is in their best interest to keep what they have in the pipe, so to speak. Anything that comes out of a pipe is a loss of safety protocol and a loss of money. So it is in every company's best interest to do the best they can with the best technology. And to claim that they do anything less is irresponsible.
Desiree Lemoyne with Industry Makes is our guest. Thank you, Desiree, for joining us. This is Nathan. One of the questions that people have, I seem to note that there are like 3 objections to carbon capture and sequestration, and specifically the sequestration. One is the safety, which you're talking about right now. Another is the federal government subsidies, which many people are opposed to because they feel like climate change and carbon's contribution to it is either a hoax or bad science. And then the third seems to be the eminent domain question of industry using eminent domain to run pipelines. As I've listened to it, those seem to be the three largest concerns. And safety you've been talking about. But on the other side, for example, eminent domain, what is industry's position on using eminent domain with pipelines for carbon capture and sequestration?
So eminent domain and expropriation, it's more pipelines use expropriation. Eminent domain is more of like when the government comes in to put a military facility on your property, and they take your property holistically. Eminent domain and pipelines use right-of-ways for your pipe, for the pipe that they need. And that is a big difference. And what I want to explain to your listeners is that big companies do not come in and steal your property, as has been argued. It is important to note that the state of Louisiana must grant status to companies before any eminent domain authority or expropriation authority can be used by a company. So it's in the company's best interest to use that as a last resort. And if they must exercise expropriation or eminent domain, as people have been calling it, they must first go to a court to get that approval. And the court itself, it is a court proceeding. So the court decide if it is necessary. And so if eminent domain is granted for a pipeline, and it has to first be deemed a public interest. So big companies can't come in and arbitrarily take your land. It is, again, another irresponsible fear-mongering tactic that has been used by politicians and the NGOs. So, big companies can't come in and say, with their wand, and say, I take this property because I need to put a pipeline here. That absolutely does not happen.
Okay, do you think
it's a court proceeding, and it's always, but it's also important to note that it is a last resort. If there is a missing air, or if there is an air that, so pipelines run miles and miles and miles, which is why eminent domain authority or expropriation authority is absolutely necessary. So that they don't stop miles and miles of pipeline because they can't find an air, or an air is dead, or things like that. So it's very important to the process.
So do you think expropriation, or what some people call eminent domain, is necessary for just a private company's interest? That's a question we get a lot.
Well, but the private company has to be deemed an interest by the state before it gets authority. Mm-hmm. A company can't just come in and say, I want to take your land. It is a judicial proceeding, and they must have authority by the state first before they can exercise any eminent domain.
We've been hearing, and we're kind of circling back also to the safety issue. You kind of helped understand that the Lake Nyos issue in Africa were a result of a volcano. That's the word I was looking for. Yes. And that release, that was the carbon that was released. Had that been stored there by industry, or was that naturally occurring carbon?
That was naturally occur. Very good question. Thank you. That was naturally occurring CO2 at the bottom of a lake. Okay. Where their volcano was.
Okay. Well, that is certainly important to differentiate. And the Satartia, I heard an industry person say that the industry learned a lot from it. They've learned how to avoid. I think the pipeline still goes through there. They've just bored it much, much deeper to avoid the potential of landslides going through potentially unstable territory. What is the kind of the common perception of pipeline safety in Louisiana?
Well, pipelines are the safest way to move any product. So whether it's oil and gas, whether it's CO2, whether it's water, pipelines are the easiest and safest way to move products because they're deep underground, and there are CO2 pipelines running underneath our feet right now that have been there since the 70s and 80s.
That carbon that's being moved right now is essentially what's being used in enhanced oil recovery, right?
Well, I've heard that, and they recently passed legislation in the last legislative session, that CO2 pipelines that are for advanced oil recovery are fine, but the CO2 pipelines that are being used for sequestration are not fine. Well, they all in the same pipe. So how do you differentiate the CO2 sequestration pipeline from the EOR CO2? You don't. They're all in the same pipe. So, again, the legislature has created another problem that we'll have to hopefully get worked out.
Now, you're saying that was established in legislation, the distinction between the two types?
No, it was the definition of CO2 for EOR recovery versus the CO2 used for sequestration. They tried to differentiate who has expropriation authority and who doesn't, but it's all in the same pipe.
Yeah, it's the same product.
The legislature, correct.
Okay.
Which the legislature, I believe, failed to understand.
Desiree Lemoine with Industry Makes is our guest. We've got to take a break. We'll come back and continue the conversation as well as entertain your phone calls at 318-442-8255. Back with more right after this.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
The Clinics welcome Dr. Noah Miller, family medicine physician, to our team. Dr. Miller from Vadrine, Louisiana, is now accepting new patients. Call today to schedule your appointment. The Clinics offers a wide range of services, including primary care, family and chronic care, urgent and acute care with on-site lab and x-ray. Same-day appointments are available, and we accept most insurance and Medicare. Experience exceptional care at the Clinics, 1587 North Bolton. Call 445-9823 or look us up online at theclinics.us.
Reuters Institute reports social media has become the main source of news for more than half of people in the U.S., surpassing TV channels and news websites. Before the story hits the group chat, it hits Simla Update. Follow Simla Broadcasting on Facebook, your community, your update.
If you'd like to take part in the show today, call the BOM Bank Talk line at 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. And remember, if you're looking to purchase or refinance your home, call Christina Bagwell at the BOM Bank Mortgage Department at 448-2430.
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK.
Welcome back to Talk Back. We're on the line with Desiree Lemoine of Industry Makes, who's kind of making the platform, or making the case for what she perceives to be the safety of carbon capture and sequestration, and trying to clear the air on what have been many questions that people have had. Stephen, we have some people making comments or asking questions on the stream. Anyone you want to share?
I'm trying to kind of sort through them and make sure they're appropriate, but there's one that says deeper doesn't mean much when it comes to leaks. CO2 is denser than air, meaning that when it's released, it tends to sink and accumulate in low-lying areas. It can pose significant risk with CCS. Do you want to say anything about that?
Sure, I can.
Okay, what are your thoughts on that comment?
So what's important to note is that if you go to the National Libraries of Medicine, which is a subset of the National Institutes of Health, it will tell you that CO2 is naturally stable underground. And once it's stored, carbon slowly becomes a permanent feature of the rock or the subsoil. So CO2 can remain deep underground in those rocks and are like in naturally occurring pockets of CO2 for millions of years. So once you put the CO2 in a hypercritical state or a supercritical state, which it's when it's still in gas form, but it flows more like a liquid, the more stable it is. So it's not a gas when it's put underground. It's in supercritical state. So I believe those fears are overblown.
All right. Well, thank you for that clarification. Another question came in that said that some of the long-term health issues from the incident in Satartia, some people are having long-term health issues. Are you aware of that claim?
No. Like what?
I don't know. I'll just read the comment.
That's why, yeah.
So some have long.
Like what? Yeah.
Well, maybe they'll comment and we can pass that along. Help me understand the distinction between a sequestration well that is a Class 6. We keep hearing about these. We have heard that there's a separate classification. Can you describe what the permit process is and what makes Class 6 different from the other types of wells, the classes 1 through 5?
Yeah. Right. So classes 1 through 5, or class 1, class 2, class 3, deal with hazardous waste wells. Class 5 is a test well, it's used as a test well to test the geology before a class 6 well permit is granted. So a company has to come in for application for a class 5 well so they can test the rock to make sure that it is stable enough and the right location before they ever begin injection through the Class 6 permit. And once that Class 5 well is established, it is used as a monitoring well for the Class 6 injection site. So wherever you have a Class 6 well, you will also have another Class 5. And that Class 5 well manages the pressure of the Class 6 well. And that's how we know through pressure changes if the CO2 is doing what science says it's going to do. And those test wells, as long as you have a Class 6 well, you will always have a Class 5 well next to it to monitor it and to automatically shut it off should pressure change.
So the issue in Illinois that we heard about where there was a leak, was that a leak or was that a Class 5 well or a monitoring well that indicated an issue?
Correct. In Illinois, that was the Archer Daniels Midland incident. And what happened there is that there was a change in pressure in the Class 6 well. The Class 5 well immediately picked it up and shut the pipe down. So no CO2 was released into the atmosphere, into the water, into anything. That is a perfect example of how the Class 5 and the Class 6 wells work together.
Okay. Another question that Bruce LeBlanc, who is, I'm not sure if he's a geologist or what his role is, he's spoken at several local events, has talked about the thousands of abandoned wells in Louisiana and that they would pose potential leak sites. How is the industry addressing that concern?
Well, industry does try to stay away from orphaned wells simply because of any risk. We try to eliminate the majority of risk. Of course, you can't do that with anything in life, but we try to stay away from the rock that contains the abandoned gas wells. Absolutely, we do, or we go deeper so that they're not an issue. But he's right.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
He's right in the concerns that scientists and geologists, which Mr. LeBlanc is not, I would point out, have, and companies have as well. So most of your Class 6 or Class 5 sites are in areas that industry is not. And if they are in parishes where industry is, they are far and away from the Class 5. From the oil and gas abandoned wells.
So is there monitoring or location of those abandoned wells? Do we know where they are?
Yeah, the state knows where they are. And of course, companies have to get their permit through the state, and they work hand in hand together. So there's always oversight of course, by the state and the federal government by where these CO2 injection wells can be.
Desiree Lemoyne with Industry Makes is our guest this morning. She is also open to your phone call questions if you'd like to call in at 318-442-8255. We really appreciate your willingness to come on and discuss. We have tried here on the program to provide a neutral sounding board where folks can ask their questions, make their comments, and I think you're providing a great resource to us by giving us a perspective that maybe hasn't been heard as much here in Central Louisiana.
Thanks for having me.
I got more questions if you can stick around.
Sure.
Okay, so we've been seeing some political backlash. We have a state representative here, Mike Johnson, who wants to call for a special session. Well, he says he wants to prevent eminent domain happening. That's what he says for carbon capture sequestration projects. Of course, you commented on the state treasurer, John Fleming, coming out completely against it. We're seeing other local elected officials speak out against it. What are your thoughts on that issue politically, specifically? And also, John Fleming says that he believes that the Trump administration would be against this. Maybe some of the bills would speak otherwise. Just your thoughts on the whole political atmosphere right now.
Well, talking directly about Mr. Fleming's claim that the White House is against it, I would ask your listeners to go to whitehouse.com, where the Trump administration put out a paper in full support of carbon capture and sequestration.
I want to comment. I think again, whitehouse.gov. Just make sure we give the right URL, because whitehouse.com goes to something else.
I'm sorry. Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah. So you're saying that there is a position paper on whitehouse.gov in favor of CCS?
Yes, sir. There is.
All right.
It came out in the middle of the legislative session, this past legislative session.
I'm sure our listeners will fact check that for us. If you can stick around, we're one more quick segment.
It's whitehouse.gov. It says President Trump is promoting energy innovation for a healthier future by supporting cutting-edge technologies like carbon capture and storage, nuclear energy, and next-gen geothermal. The Trump administration is ensuring America leads in both energy production and environmental innovation, producing the cleanest energy in the world.
Well, there you go.
Thank you for that. Yep.
Stephen the man. All right. Desiree Lemoyne was going to be with us for one more segment. We've got to take this bottom of the hour break. We'll be right back with more with Desiree Lemoyne of Industry Makes.
Progressive's Teen Driver discount could lower the cost of insurance for your teenager and save you some money. And then you can still spend money on them. Because just when you think you have a grasp on spending, new sneakers. And then it's money for a school field trip. And of course, spending money. Oh yeah, and a new phone to replace the one they dropped in the toilet. Oh, don't remind me. So just get Progressive's Teen Driver discount. And then you can continue to spend money on them endlessly. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discount not available in all states and subject to terms and conditions.
DQ presents The Sound of Happy. Hear that? That's the DQ chicken strip basket. Only $7.49 for a limited time. We're talking 4 100% white meat seasoned chicken strips served with fries, Texas toast, and DQ signature country gravy. Yeah, you heard that right. For crunch time in no time, it can only be the DQ chicken strip basket. Just $7.49 for a limited time. Get it delivered in the DQ app. Happy tastes good at participating locations.
Got a big day ahead of you? Then it's best to fuel up with some of Cenla's best at Bricato's restaurant. Walk right in and just smell that home-style cooking. Place your order, take a seat, and do breakfast right till 9:30 this morning. Get fresh biscuits, eggs any way you like them, melt in your mouth pancakes, grits, hash browns, sausage, bacon, even wraps and sandwiches. And don't forget their fresh brewed coffee. Bricato's Restaurant, 28 West, right across from the Coliseum. Your breakfast is waiting for you.
Well, good morning. It looks like another sunny, hot day for us. This afternoon highs will get up to 95. That heat index somewhere between 101 and 105. And a little faint breeze, what we'll see will be out of the east. Tonight, clear skies down to 73 for the overnight low. And for the most part, looks like a nice weekend with sunny skies both Saturday and Sunday. Highs near 95 with a slight chance of an afternoon shower or thunderstorm. From the Cenla Broadcasting Weather Center, I'm Dave Gratian.
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. Now back to Talk Back.
All right, back to Talk Back for this Friday morning. Desiree Lemoyne from Industry Makes is with us. Desiree, we do have a call on the line. Let's see if I can conference you in. If I'll push the right button. I'm looking for it. Here we go. Good morning, caller. You're on the phone line with Desiree Lemoyne of Industry Makes.
Hey, Big Al and Big Nate and Desiree. My name is Cornelius White. Good morning, ma'am. How you doing there? My name is Cornelius White. And one day, Big Nate, I need you to come by. I'm not doing too well. But my point with you, my dad was a biologist, and he said that the best thing we can do with CO2 is grow a lot of trees and plants. And also, I was military police. And I look at our enemies. Our enemies are not doing this, and that's Communist China. They're building coal-fired plants like crazy. And also India, who's supposed to be our friend, is building coal-fired plants like crazy. I'm worried about this because I've talked to some guys, SteveGorham.com. If you go to him, he says that this is nothing but a boondoggle of these billionaires. All they want is money and stuff. So have you looked at the billionaires that are behind this?
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Cornelius. We'll let you listen off the air. Go ahead, Desiree, with your thoughts on that.
Well, Mr. Cornelius, or Mr. White, I believe, thank you for calling in and asking. I believe that was statements, not really questions. But so there is, you're correct. China and India and all of those, they're burning and burning. And CO2 is created when you burn, especially when you burn natural gas. So industry today has invested in carbon capture, because not so much because of the emissions aspect or the environmental aspect, to address your quote environmental boondoggle. It is more of an economic investment. And that is because manufacturing here in Louisiana export their products overseas. The people overseas, their shareholders and their customers overseas are demanding a carbon-free product. If we cannot produce it here, and they produce it in China and India, then all of our manufacturing facilities will cease to exist. If we cannot create a carbon-free molecule, they'll create it somewhere else. So it is very important, no matter what your environmental beliefs are, is that for industry to sustain itself in Louisiana and to remain competitive throughout the globe, we want to make the molecules that the world is demanding, we want to make them here.
Yeah, I know that's something the Trump administration has been pushing. You know, we've heard the Apple announcements and everything, trying to save the manufacturing sector in America.
Correct. And it's important. I mean, CO2 is made anytime you burn anything, whether it's coal, whether it's natural gas, whether it's oil, you get a CO2 release. So it's not so much, and he's right, trees and grass and all of those things need CO2. CO2 is 0.4% of the air that we breathe every day. At 0.2% is when the trees and the grass begin to die. So we're not talking about naturally occurring CO2. We're talking about the extra CO2 that manufacturing is putting into the atmosphere through their manufacturing processes. And so we're simply trying to be responsible for our own emissions.
I want to be respectful of your time. I know we have a hard stop here in just a second. I have a caller on the line, but I don't think we have time for that. I want to give you a minute to kind of wrap up your thoughts and any final thoughts you wanted to share with us this morning.
Thank you. My final thought is that I would like for people to do their homework. And I realize that they're scared. NGOs and politicians seeking higher office use fear as a way to kind of use their power. And I would invite anyone listening, do your homework. Go to the United States EPA and look up what they say about carbon capture. Go to the Department of Energy. Go to the United States Geological Survey or Society. Go to the National Energy Technology Laboratory. Go to the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration website. Go to the National Institutes of Health. And take your information from these are scientists. Go to LSU, go to UL, and look up and do your research. And please, I beg of the public, don't be led around by people who are using you to create a higher office for themselves. It is disheartening, and it is selfish, and we believe at Industry Makes in the manufacturing sector of Louisiana that Louisianans deserve better than that.
Desiree Lemoyne.
And I thank you for your equal time today.
Thank you so much for calling in and helping provide a perspective that, gives people information they can direct. Is there a good website for you guys? IndustryMakes.org. Is that right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Check out industrymakes.org. I noticed you have on your resources quite a bit of CO2 paperwork and documentation, so folks can check that out for themselves.
Absolutely. Thank you guys very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Desiree Lemoyne, and we'll be right back with more right after this.
KSYL.
Imagine walking where land meets sea, where every step echoes centuries of stories. This is the Portuguese Coastal Camino de Santiago. From Porto's riverside charm to Galicia's wild coast, follow a path through fishing villages, ancient chapels, and windswept beaches. Walk the Camino. Feel the call. It's more than a journey, it's a transformation. Join our small group, escorted by Christine and Father Joy, in May of 2026. FreedomTravelLLC.com, your international travel architects.
From America's #1 travel radio show, I'm Robert Carey with today's RM World Travel Minute. You know, the airline industry, it's a fascinating business to follow, and specifically items beyond the actual flight. A hot spot in air travel these days is the premium sector, and that's where most airlines are putting their attention. There's good reason for this, as 75% of air travel spending in the U.S. comes from households earning more than $100,000 annually. While airlines such as Frontier or Spirit slash flights to avoid having to discount more, Delta, United, and American are experiencing strong demand for their premium cabins. Alaska Airlines and JetBlue are rushing to increase premium seats on their aircraft. By next summer at this time, 30% of seats on Alaska will be premium, and JetBlue is putting first-class seats on all of their domestic flights, plus adding premium lounges in airports. Most airline executives agree that premium travel is more about the experience than a seat, and I'd say I happen to agree with that. What say you? Share your comments at rmworldtravel.com/contact. And speaking of premium airline seats, Mary and I have a flight to Alaska to catch. We'll talk with all of you from there next week.
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK-BACK.
And we welcome you back to Talk Back as we come out of the break. Enjoyed and appreciated, I should say, very much Desiree Lemoyne from Industry Makes. I think the beauty of a program like this is you can give a platform for voices and they can have that conversation. She was willing to take the phone calls. I'm sorry we didn't have time to take this call because she had a hard exit time that she had to be out of. But we do have another caller on the line. We'll take it right now. Good morning. You're on Talk Back with Stephen and Nathan.
Hey, Stephen, Nate. All right. I've worked in the oil and gas industry over 30 years, and I need to ask you a quick question because my next statement's prefaced off of that. What percentage did she say CO2 was in the Earth's atmosphere?
I think it was it 0.2? 0.4?
0.4.
Yeah.
Okay. That is off by a factor of 10.
Yeah, it was 0.04, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
422 parts per million is correct. Now, my math says that's 0.04228%. Second, what I'm not hearing from anybody is it's not really, CO2 is not a pollutant, okay? Now, is it a greenhouse gas? Yes. You know what's about 10 times more of a greenhouse gas? Water vapor. That's a fact. However, it's transitory. You know, when the Tonga explosion, that explosion happened at the volcano out in the Pacific here a few years ago. Does anybody remember what happened in Northern California in the Sierra? They had a snow base of 422 inches because of it pumped something like 15 to 20% more water vapor into the atmosphere, which got into the jet stream. The other thing people aren't talking about is what energy source that we could use today emits no CO2 to produce electricity.
Hydrogen or water dams?
Well, okay, right. Hydroelectric, but that's geographically limited, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Not too many mountains in Louisiana.
Nuclear then.
Right. You are correct. The only downside, and people say, 3 Mile Island. Really? How many people were poisoned or hurt at 3 Mile Island?
Do not know.
How about 0?
Okay.
I mean, that was the one bad thing we had here. But every time you bring up nuclear, I call them the watermelon people. Some of these environmentalists, I call them watermelon because they're quote unquote green on the outside, but inside they're pink, meaning they're socialist communists, because their solution is always the same: give the government more money.
But are they seedless? That's the question. Are they seedless?
Well, they're brainless.
Okay.
Right. But I mean, we've got, was it River Bend right there at St. Francisville?
Yeah, that's right.
And the funny one to me, I knew a guy years ago who worked there. He told me one day he used to ride his motorcycle to work occasionally, especially in the fall. He told me one time he was going to work. He walked in. They scanned him. He was an operator, a control room operator. They scanned him, and a radiation detector went off. And he's like, "Wait, what?" He had picked up more radiation coming past the Exxon refinery on his motorcycle.
Wow.
Because there's the Exxon refinery right there in Baton Rouge off Airline Highway. Gotcha. I mean, what bugs me about this is nobody seems to have any solutions. It's always, government's got to have more money. Really? If our federal government was serious about people producing more solar electricity, you'd be able to write off the entire cost of a solar system on your house.
I recently priced solar on my house, and I was shocked. They actually want 6 figures now to put solar.
Well, much of that is labor. And I will tell you that if you put it on your roof, if you have to replace your roof, it almost doubles the cost.
I can imagine, because you'd have to remove it first, right?
I can tell you that out here on 28 East, the smartest guy who did it years ago is right there on the corner of Essler Field Road. It's Essler Field on one side of 28. It's Barron Chapel on the other side.
Right.
That guy put his on racks, and he's got a bunch of them, and he put them high enough in his pasture where he can actually get a mower under them.
Ah, yeah. So that's the smart way to do it.
It is. But I mean, the panels themselves are pretty cheap. Right now, you can go on Amazon and get delivered to your house, $59 plus tax, 100-watt panel.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I can remember when solar was $6 and $8 per watt. Now, it's under $1.
Impressive. Well,
impressive.
You got to know how to install it and not kill yourself in the process.
Well, and that's
what electricians are for.
Well, that is true, because people say, most panels are only 12 or 24 volt. Yeah, but here's the problem. When you start putting them in series strings, you're adding those voltages together. And most of these phase matching inverters that go in houses, they like to work with anywhere from 190 to 390 volts DC. And that will kill you graveyard dead.
Well, I'll tell you, I've got a friend that bought some land up in Arkansas. There was no power there. He built a cabin and installed himself the solar panels that run the place. And he now rents it out as an Airbnb, 100% powered by solar panels and battery for nighttime operation. And I'm stunned that, he was able to Google it and YouTube it and figure out how to do it. So I guess it's possible if you're handy enough.
Is he running HVAC units, though? Because that's your big. If you have gas water heaters, gas stove, and gas dryer, yeah, you can pretty much run your house. But I have yet to see anybody that can reliably run an HVAC system.
Well, it's a small, tiny little, basically a tiny home. But the fact that he was able to do that without paying $10,000, $20,000 to bring in a line, I was impressed with his ingenuity.
Well, maybe Cleco can tell us what they're up. Can come on and tell us what they're up to per pole, because they charge per pole to bring power into your house.
I know it's pretty expensive.
I think they'll give you one pole, and it can't be more than 500 feet between the poles, something like that.
It sounds about right. I know we had, in the city of Pineville, had a quote for some street lights from Cleco, and they're pretty expensive, very expensive.
Yeah, and the LEDs they burn 10% of what the old sodiums did.
Yeah, good point. Well,
I don't know why we don't put in a few more modern nuclear power plants.
And I just Googled. There's actually 2 in Louisiana. There's one down south, the Waterford Nuclear Generation Station, which produces about 1,000 megawatts. down near Kelowna in St. Charles Parish, and then of course the River Bend that you talked about, that produces also about 1,000. So we have 2 of them in Louisiana, and I have not heard issues from either one of them. It does seem to be another alternative that would be attractive.
The newer reactors have a lot less spent fuel storage problems. I think they're much more efficient now.
Well,
but that's not my area of expertise.
Well, I appreciate your call because you certainly know more about the industry than either and I, that probably Stephen and I put together. But thank you for lending your voice to the conversation this morning.
Oh, no problem. But when she said 0.4%, that my alarm bell went off on the back of my head.
I'm sure that was she knows. Sometimes it's just probably a mistake.
It's probably just she probably just misspoke.
She knows.
All right, thank you.
Man.
Y'all have a good weekend.
You too, my friend. Let's go to one more phone call. Good morning. You're on Talk Back with Stephen and Nathan.
Yeah, I want to say something. That lady didn't convince me at all. And she said they've been drilling through CO2 plumes for a long time without an issue. Well, there's only been one sequestration well in the United States, and that's in Decatur, Illinois. Well, where have they been drilling through all these plumes?
I'll tell you, I'm not advocating for it, but I did hear at a meeting I attended with Capture Point, they said that all of the enhanced oil recovery typically leaves about 30% of the enhanced 30% of the carbon stays in the ground, and that's where they've learned a lot from the plumes, and they do drill through it for other sites because that's at a much shallower space. One of the interesting things out of that conversation was that there's a lot of CO2 in the ground for the enhanced oil recovery with not near the level of scrutiny that the Class 6 would have. So that was an interesting piece of information that I didn't know, that a lot of that CO2 is already being left in the ground.
Okay, then she says, well, you trust the science. Go to LSU. Go to the National Institute of Health. Well, scientists depend on grants from industry. I do not trust them. And I'll give you, I like to go back to my point about the LSU Kennington Biomedical Research Center. They did a study on sugar, and their scientists determined sugar had nothing to do with obesity. It was lack of exercise. Well, the study was paid for by Coca-Cola. Well, what do you think? Okay, the National Institute of Health, for the last 25 years, it's been captured by the pharmaceutical industry, the CDC, the FDA, all the agencies that we depend on for health information have all been captured by the pharmaceutical industry. Now, I think Robert Kennedy is going to change that, hopefully. But, okay, look at COVID. Look at all the scientists and doctors saying, oh, this vaccine is safe, it's effective. Well, it was not effective. It was not safe. It saved some lives, maybe, but there were a lot of people harmed by it. A lot of young men got myocarditis. Well, they like to spout, well, viruses can cause myocarditis. They can, yes, they can. But a lot more young men got myocarditis, the vaccine, and ever got it naturally from the viral infection. And I know a young man that got it. He was in the Army. He got shot within a couple of days. He had myocarditis, and last time I talked to him, he's on 4 heart meds. I know several people who took the shot, and within a day or two, they got clot. They got clotted all over. One of the doctors my wife worked, he had a clot in his finger, of all places. Another one had clots all in his lungs, was hospitalized in ICU within a day or two of the shot.
Yeah.
So I do not trust scientists working for industry who are being paid by industry. I just don't do it.
Well, I mean, for example, a lot of people take amoxicillin, an antibiotic, and it gives some people a rash or adverse effects. So, I think that there's risk with anything, right?
There are risks, but there are acceptable risks and there are non-acceptable risks. And see, everybody wants to label Robert Kennedy as an anti-vaxxer. you have a small child, I would advise you to get his book, Vax/Unvax, and what he details in there. These drug companies and some of these doctors like Cassidy, they say, they're safe. They're thoroughly tested. Well, guess what? They are not thoroughly tested. I think I was shocked when I read his book. I always assumed that vaccines were thoroughly tested. They are not. They absolutely are not.
He is an interesting follow on X. I follow him, and I'm very fascinated with the direction he's taken the Department of Health. And you have highlighted, I think, what a lot of people feel is basically right now we live in a season when there is a distrust in institutional information, and that's exactly where we are. So we thank you for your call. I've got to take this break, and we'll be right back with the final segment right after this.
Thank you, sir. Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
You too could have a beautiful smile in as little as 12 weeks. Exclusive to Today's Dental in Pineville, Virtual Align Clear Aligners, the fastest, most convenient, affordable way to straighten your teeth for people on the go. Plus, they're invisible. No one will know you're doing it. Experience the Virtual Align difference. Call Today's Dental at 448-4540. It's a general dental facility on Highway 28 East in Pineville, owned by Dr. Jonas Goche. 448-4540.
Talkback, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO.
It's the final segment, the final moments, and I don't know if it's the final phone call, but it is our next phone call. Good morning. You're on Talkback with Stephen and Nathan.
Hey, Steve and Nathan, it's Brad from Chicago. Hey, I just wanted to say that there's some things going on. Well, actually, first off, don't trust the science on anything climate. We have technology that is available for us that will actually reveal where we may actually live. So just take that into mind, take it to heart. Nikon cameras prove a lot of things. Now, here's the thing that I'm having an issue with. All these companies that are charging, like the power companies and stuff, it's really, really massively happening up here. But the Germans have a way to do it where they will actually take cryptocurrency in their company, like, for example, T-Mobile, mine it for you, and then that will pay your bill. And they will pay your phone bill if you let them custody your cryptocurrency, and you will get a free phone bill. Now, why aren't power companies doing this? Why isn't every company in the world returning this back to the people? And that's the question you have to ask. I mean, there's so much going on, and they've got us so distracted. They signed an executive order yesterday, Trump, that allowed all of crypto to be basically invested in your 401k. If 1% of that comes in, that's $90 billion in new capital. So just think about all this capital that's going to come in the system. So hang in there, everybody. It's not Trump that is the hero here. This is a planned event that's been in the making for 20 years to reset the dollar so we wouldn't have to take responsibility for all the debt we've accumulated. Now, just look into that over the weekend. The executive order that was signed, 401ks can now invest in crypto. The floodgates are open. If no one knows about crypto, now is the time. It is too late like you have to know about it. It's going to be forced upon us, and you really need to hold the companies that are taking the little tiny bit of money that we have to put food in our mouths. You need to put them on the fire to give back to us. They can do it now with their investments, and they can make things much cheaper. So they have no excuse. And I love you guys' show. Did an excellent job today.
Thank
Absolutely
you.
awesome.
Appreciate that. Always. Brad from Chicago. I love his calls. And are you doing anything with crypto? You got to have money to do something with crypto, right?
Don't ask me about financial stuff, man. That's something I'm trying to learn about.
I think
with Brad calling, I'm going to have to learn it, I guess.
Yeah.
And I keep hearing the president talk about it.
Right.
You know, I know he made lots of money off his, whatever the heck these meme coins are.
It wasn't Dogecoin, but he did a coin, yeah.
The Trump coins. Oh, yeah, I get it. But also, on another note, I would really love to go to Chicago. I know people hate on Chicago, but it seems like a fantastic place.
I've never been. I have friends who've been, and they have good things to say about it.
I went once, but it was very short. Went to a Cubs game and then drove back to Milwaukee.
Okay.
I love Milwaukee. That's a great city.
Well, obviously Al does too. He talks about it all the time.
Maybe it's because he influenced me to like it.
He got me to try cheese curds for the first time. So
like fried or just normal?
Fried, yeah. When you say normal, what do you mean?
Well, usually
I
cheese
thought fried
curds
were normal.
No. Cheese curds are like actually just pieces of cheese.
Okay.
Like squeaky
Well,
cheese.
look, I love cheese, so you got me a cheese. You had
You can
me
just
at cheese.
order some cheese curds, not the fried kind. Fried is like a different variation.
Okay, that's
but
all
the
I know is the
original
fried.
OG cheese curd is a piece of cheese.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Does it have a distinct flavor?
Well, it depends on what kind you get. There's
Come
different
on.
flavors of cheese, you know. So it's like saying, do you like Swiss? You know, do you like Munster? I don't know.
Thank you for the culinary hour here at KSYO for joining
Would you like
us.
to learn more about cheese?
I really would. I love cheese,
I
and
do
my wife
too.
doesn't. So it's kind of a, I'm a cheeseburger. She's a hamburger.
Here's the person this is the question I ask people to kind of gauge who they really are in life.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to give up one for the rest of your life, cheese or chocolate, you got to pick one.
I think I'd give up chocolate.
All right. I know who you are now.
Yeah. I hope that's a good thing.
I don't know. It's a tough one for me, too.
It is tough. I said it pretty quickly, but see, I'm really more of a dark chocolate guy.
Oh,
yes, I love
disgusting.
Yeah. I've just lost Steven's friendship over chocolate and cheese.
Hey, if you want some amazing chocolate, go to Nadir International Market off Lee Street in Alexandria. They have the Dubai chocolate and the Dubai chocolate strawberry cups.
I saw your post. I've got to go.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, that wraps it up for this week. Thank you, everybody, for your phone calls. We got one that just called in. Sorry we couldn't get you in. Next week, I'll be with you on Monday as well.
I know. And Tuesday.
And Tuesday. That's right. So 3 days in a row I get to enjoy talking back with you guys. Thanks for sticking around, and thanks for engaging with us on Facebook. Talk to you later. Have a great week.
You've been listening to Talkback. The opinions expressed were those of the hosts and callers, and not necessarily those of Cenlaw Broadcasting. AM 970, FM 104.9, KSYO.